Dear audience, welcome to the show POWERchat. In today's episode, we'll be discussing about smallholder enterprises in Nepal with reference to Heifer International's work here in Nepal. Joining us today is Dr. Mahendra Nath Lohani, Senior Vice President of Programs at Heifer International. Please allow me to welcome him. Welcome to the show, Dr. Lohani.
Thank you very much, Laxman.
How have you been?
Appreciate it. Very well, thank you.
You have been working with the Heifer International as the Senior Vice President and looking after many regions, Asia, Africa, and East Europe. How do you assess the work of Heifer International in Nepal?
The work of Heifer is focused on ending hunger and poverty and caring of earth. That is Heifer mission. We work together with the bottom strata of the population, specifically smallholder farmers, and our target community includes a lot of hungry people who do not have nutritious food, and not only nutritious food, who do not have food at all. A lot of time our participants are those who do not have even a land piece. So the work is very much challenging. In Nepal, the situation of land holding is much smaller, and that's one area that I can say that Nepal's situation differs from that of Africa, where the land is plentiful, but we adapt with the local context and situation. And one of the interesting aspects of Heifer International is that we engage the local population in the bottom-up project planning approach. We sit together with them, identify the problems, and co-create the solution. And the advantage of that process is that we come up with a solution that is most suitable for that local. And in that way, when we look at the activities, the specific activities might look different between areas, but the focus continues that we want these people who are at the bottom of the pyramid, of the poverty pyramid, we want them to come out not only from the poverty cycle, but also earn the living income so that they can pay for their health care, education, housing, etc., including the social activities that are so much important for the people, and we can't just forget that. We can't say that it's not important, because that's their priority. So if that area, that focus, that continues to be same everywhere.
Well, Dr. Lohani, it's already been more than 2 decades, actually 2.5 decades, that Heifer International is here in Nepal. What are the major initiatives supporting the development process of Nepal that were taken place in the ages of Heifer International?
So let me go back and touch a little bit how Heifer came to Nepal. It so happened that I reached to Heifer's headquarters in '91, and when I heard that they have a very sustainable approach for development, they help the farmer by providing input and training, and they expect that the farmer would help another farmer by passing on the gift of first female offspring of the livestock that Heifer gives to the farmer, and also teach the second farmer the skill that's necessary to keep the animals, so that there will be milk production, goat production, chicken, etc., etc. So we not only help the farmer, but also teach the farmer how to help to another. In that way, the cycle of giving and the cycle of helping keeps continuing. And we are very proud. 4 years ago, we had opportunity to interact with the first group, which we created in 1993, had completed 14 generations of the passing on the gift. So the group which received help from Heifer has taken up the role of Heifer, and then it passed on to another. So 14 times 25 families benefited. Now initially our scale used to be small. A few hundred families were targeted by each project, but now we realized that addressing this vicious cycle of poverty, we need to address in scale. So in 2012, we came up with a significantly big size project which targeted 138,000 families, and the goal was to import substitution in goat by 30%, which means the project targeted to produce 150,000 additional goat and bring it to the market, so that our dependency on imported goat will decrease. Likewise, the import substitution target for milk was 10%, which was about 38,000 liters of milk at that time. Now, also that project targeted to increase the income of farmers to 190,000 rupees per family. We achieved all those goals in 5 years, but the need of the farmer per cash, per income increased because of the increased income, increased need for economic expenses, etc., etc. So we have come up now with a new definition that we call living income. The living income expands the scope of expenditure we calculate, and right now we have come up with a calculation of 390,000 rupees per year for the family, and so we are targeting at this time with that goal.
Well, and do you think that this has significantly contributed towards reducing poverty, that of the government's targets?
Yes, we have data in last 5 years. How did our program impact in the poverty level? And the baseline study showed that the poverty level was 76% in the community where we worked. But then after 5 years, we were able to bring it down to 48%. So that is a very encouraging target, encouraging achievement. But we know we did not succeed to eliminate poverty from the area where we have been working. So to address that, we have brought up a second project that we call Strengthening Livestock Value Chain Project second phase, which has targeted 30 districts right now. We are looking at how we can bring all those farmers out of poverty. For that reason, we'll continue to support the farmers to increase production of goat and dairy by supporting production and productivity over and beyond what we achieved in the first phase, but also connecting them to the market. The idea is the smallholder farmers should have a share in the profit when the goat and the milk produced by them in the family reaches to the consumer. There are many actors who are involved, but we are targeting how can we increase the role of smallholder farmers, not only in production but also in this value chain. And to do that, we have formed not only groups but help the farmers to come into cooperatives. We build the capacity of cooperatives in management, in financial management, in marketing, in addition to the governance, which is also absolutely necessary. Then we are connecting to market. Right now there are 170 cooperatives who are doing the job of collecting the goat from farmers, bulking and negotiating with the formal market in big cities as well as in the local area. By doing so, we have a result that the farmer's income from the goat has increased between 25 and 30% additional. Now, how did it happen? In the past, the traders used to visit house to house and then bought the goat by just estimation and offering. Now, smallholder farmer, they needed money and they did not have choice to negotiate. They could not do that. Now, when we bulk all the goats through the cooperative, we took the live weight of the goat. All the goats are sold by taking the live weight basis, and then we compare how the live weight at the farmers level and how the live weight in the major market center, Kathmandu, Pokhara, or in other big market centers in the regional level, how does it vary? By keeping that in mind, we help farmers to negotiate the price that is good for all.
Well, Dr. Lohani, how do you define smallholder farmers, enterprises, with reference to the project you have recently launched, its second phase that you are referring, strengthening smallholder enterprises of livestock value chains for poverty reduction and economic growth in Nepal?
The definition of smallholder farmer is not consistent. Different institutions, organizations have been using different definition. Recently I learned that in Nepal, the written document shows that if a farmer has less than 50 goat, then they are categorized as smallholder farmer. Now it differs from country to country. In Africa, it is much smaller number, about 20 goat. Size is considered a smallholder farmer. But for us, what's important is that the farmers who are dependent on the goat and the agriculture production, but they are not yet using their production for economic upliftment. Rather, it is used for food security only. Then we are going to help them, and we are targeting them to connect to the market, so that it's not helping the farmer only to be food self-sufficient.
What should be done so that they could send their productions that is coming from the goats in the form of meat to the market, and they continue with their economic activities, livelihoods?
Okay, so in SLVC2, our strategy has been like this. Until now, we have already achieved that the production has increased. Collection of the goat by the cooperative has been institutionalized. Transportation of goat from the farm to the market center has been already going on. That part is good. We'll continue to further strengthen and increase efficiency on that part, so that less and less wastage could be done, more increase of the income of the farmer. So that's the focus for that part. On the other side, who is selling the goat meat to consumer? These are the cold stores, these are the meat entrepreneurs, the slaughterhouses, formal and informal slaughterhouses. That is another aspect in the marketing. So we are focusing on that part, the market part, who slaughter, bring them together, and then combine with the farmers in one point and help them to visualize what if both the sides make an investment with support from other institutions, government and non-government, establish a scientific abattoir, slaughterhouse, and use that slaughterhouse to produce the scientifically produced hygienic meat, and bring those meat all the way to consumers, so that the consumers will benefit. The meat entrepreneurs will be doing a very good job by selling the good quality meat, and they feel good about it, and they can profit as well. The farmers will have some stake in the whole value chain by investing in that enterprise. So bringing them together and making this value chain efficient is one of the major focus. To do so, we will bring the technology, we'll connect them with the capital. Capital is one of the most important limiting factor in increasing efficiency of the whole value chain system. So right now we are working with commercial banks. There is a project now in Nepal which is Shaksham. It's supported by UK aid. We have a very good collaboration with them, and we are talking with the Machapusra Bank to reach to many thousands, hundreds of thousands of families, and mobilize 1 billion Nepalese rupees in the form of capital to farmers. By bringing all those strengths in, we believe we can increase the income of the farmers.
Why did Heifer continue with the SLVC phase 2 project? What are the major outcomes of results of the phase first?
So it's a good question. In phase first, our focus was more on increasing the production efficiency and effectiveness. We work with the families where the goat production was not used for income generation. It was more like a savings asset. Farmers use the goat to sell whenever they need some cash, otherwise it was just kept as a backyard and side business. Now we taught to the farmers that farmers can make a lot of money by transforming the production system and making it as an enterprise, production enterprise, and we help them. The productivity of the goat has increased a lot, and accordingly the farmers have planted fodders and forages. The farmers have started using veterinary pharmaceuticals when the goats are sick, vaccination, good housing system, insurance of goats, etc. That's done. It's done very encouraging, and we continue to expand that so that it becomes a very good income source of the whole family, not only savings asset but a production asset. So that part is done. Now until and unless this produce of the farmer reaches to the consumer in the way that it should be, then the farmers are not able to take full advantage of the hard work that they do. So in the second phase, we are focusing on the value chain, right from bulking the goat, transportation of the goat, slaughtering of the goat in a scientific way, production of the hygienic meat, bringing the good quality hygienic meat all the way to the consumers, and the consumers benefit as well. In this process, we are working very closely with the government, Livestock Department, Ministry of Agriculture, and their network all the way down to the ground level. We are also working very closely together with the municipalities and both rural municipalities as well as the municipalities, so that it falls in their priority as well to provide the healthy hygienic meat to the communities. We are also working very closely with the private sector, who had been working. We needed to bring their business zeal and the business efficiency to sustain this value chain and other support services. So bringing all these support services together and bringing synergy is the way to go.
Well, could you also tell us the substance behind selecting, you are referring to 30 or 31 districts. Why did you choose with the same districts that the first phase project was implemented?
As I said, this is a good question. I said earlier, we have started in bringing this economic transformation to the communities and the families with whom we work, and the targeted family was 138,000 families, and we made significant progress in the production and productivity. But when we looked at the data, the economic transformation which was necessary to bring them, all of them, out of poverty and even beyond, which we call living income, which is much higher than the baseline, the poverty line of $1.25 per person per day, which is normally referred to in the development sector. We recognize that that amount is not sufficient. So our goal is to bring a level of income change so that if there is an economic shock, then Heifer or other development organizations do not have to come back to help them. Our goal is to make it self-sustaining so that they can recoup those shock and continue in their path of socio-economic transformation. So that's a higher level goal. That was not part of the target in the phase 1, and we didn't reach quite there. Now second phase tries to do exactly that one.
Dr. Lohani, this is really interesting facts you told. Every year, there is a labor force leaving this country for work in many countries. Do you have any component on this project that could motivate the labor force, the youngsters in the districts that you have chosen this project, that they could work here in Nepal?
That's another interesting. The data shows that about 29% of the GDP is coming from remittance. That's the overseas employment that our hundreds of thousands of youth are working outside the country. So how do we tap that energy and use it in the agriculture sector, which is the basic backbone of the country? It continues to be, because over 70% of the population is still dependent on the agriculture. So we saw that as an opportunity to bring the socio-economic transformation in the country. So we are targeting those population in our program, and we have seen quite a number of very encouraging results. Those families whose youth have gone out, when they saw that there is opportunity in the community, their spouses are working in the group, and goat production, dairy production has been continuously coming up as a professional production system in a commercial way. There is a market access, there is a profit coming from that business. Then many youth have decided not to go back to overseas, to Malaysia or the Gulf countries, to and join hand with their family. So they have used their unproductive or less productive land to produce the fodder and forage grasses, and use it to increase their income. So some of the examples, and I would like to share one of the example, how a farmer who was working abroad, and he had a small piece of land where he was producing one crop of corn, maize, and the total value of the maize that he produced in one season, it was a slopey land in the hills, so there was only one crop per year, and the total value of the crop was 12,000 rupees. Now this farmer, when he saw that planting the fodder and forage in that piece of land and growing the goat rather than corn or maize, he could increase the income to 60,000 rupees. That is 5 times more. So the whole area, he had about 4 or 5 ropanage land, and I can't tell exactly, but that land is producing the fodder and forage, and the farmer is producing goat, and he's selling 8 or 10 goats per year, and this production profit, 50% profit in the production of those goat, and out of 120,000 or 125,000 that he makes out of selling 10 goats, he is making about 60,000. So there is a lot of encouraging results in retaining the youth. Now we want to do more by engaging these youth in the value chain. There is a work in processing, there is a work in transportation, there is a work in selling, all the way to consumers. And there are a lot of opportunity delivering the goat and meat to consumers. There is a trade going on by internet system. People are willing to pay extra when there is convenience. So how can we engage these youth in multiple value chain steps? That's the focus that we are looking at.
You have 2 important components in this project, livelihood and economic growth. Do you think that it would help reducing agricultural dependency to other countries, especially India?
Yes, the data from SLVC1, we had targeted to reduce the import of goat by 150,000 per year. That was, at that time, the data showed that 500,000 goat was being imported per year from India, and the 30% of 500,000 is 150,000. So 150,000 goat production, additional goat was the target, and we were able to exceed that target. The data of 2017 showed that our cooperatives sold, 170 cooperatives sold a total of 164,000 goats to the formal market system. That is additional than the baseline that we had. Okay, so additional goat production has been achieved. Now with additional income through the goat value chain, it's our expectation that the farmers will expand the goat production, not only by those 138,000, but more farmers will be attracted because they will see that there is opportunity, and that's happening. More grass production, more goat, more farmers involved in goat production, and that's another is the dairy production. There are 14 cooperatives who are selling dairy milk, cows and buffalo's milk to the processors, and it continues to be expanding. So those institutions will be strengthened. The value chain, whole value chain will be strengthened in this project, and we believe that the import substitution will continue to grow.
Well, Dr. Lohani, we are coming to the end of the show. Could you tell us about the Heifer's future strategy engaging people here in Nepal for the sustainable livelihoods very quickly?
Heifer believes in partnership, and so has always focused very heavily in working together with the government. So central government, district government, local government, we are very grateful for the collaboration that we have achieved. But have we done enough? I must say there is so much more that we can do. We continue to reach out to the government and request how can we expand our collaboration over and beyond where we have been working. Right now the opportunities beyond what we had before, the provincial governments, that's one area we'll continue to explore. Another area is exploring partnership with the private sector. We know how to produce, but we need to connect the farmers with the efficient private sector who can help them teach the business, so that the business enterprises, and then there are other supporting services, the health, vaccination, veterinary entrepreneurship. We are training people in the community so that the services are readily available in affordable price, accessing to the capital, to the banks. We are focusing very high, and we are very confident that this strategy will lead to expansion, and we hope to be very significant player in the present government's peace, harmony and prosperity in the country.
Well, Dr. Lohani, thank you very much for your time. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you very much, Laxmanji.
Your audience, time now to wrap up the show. Keep watching us. See you next week. Namaste.